My daughter-in-law pawned my jewelry and said we needed the money. She had no idea what I'd do next. I found the empty box on a Tuesday morning, my jewelry box, the one I keep on my dresser, the one that holds 40 years of memories. I opened it expecting to see my grandmother's diamond ring, my mother's pearl necklace, the sapphire bracelet Robert gave me on our 20th anniversary, the gold locket with my children's baby photos inside. Empty, completely empty. Every piece, gone. My hands shook. My heart pounded. I checked under the dresser, in the drawers, behind the nightstand. Maybe I'd moved them, maybe I'd forgotten, but I hadn't. I never moved them. They were always in that box, on my dresser, safe, protected, mine. I went downstairs, found my daughter-in-law Melissa in the kitchen, making coffee, casual, normal, like nothing had happened. "Melissa, where's my jewelry?" She didn't even look up, just stirred her coffee. "Oh, yeah, I pawned it." 3 words, delivered like she'd borrowed a cup of sugar. "You pawned it?" "We needed the money. Tom's car repair was expensive. I figured you never wear that stuff anyway. It was just sitting there. Just sitting there. 40 years of my life. My grandmother's ring that survived the Depression. My mother's pearls she wore on her wedding day. Robert's sapphire bracelet he saved 6 months to buy. My children's photos in that locket. Just sitting there. Melissa, that jewelry was irreplaceable. Do you understand? Irreplaceable. Family heirlooms. Sentimental value beyond any... Calm down. They gave us $3,000 for it. That's good money. We'll buy you new stuff when we can afford it. $3,000. For pieces worth... I didn't even know. I'd never had them appraised. Never thought I'd need to. Because they were mine. They were safe. They were in my house. Which pawn shop? Does it matter? It's done. Which pawn shop? Ugh, fine. Parker's on 5th Street. But we can't afford to get it back right now. That was the whole point. I went to my room, closed the door, and started making calls, because Melissa had no idea what she'd just done, no idea what those pieces were actually worth, no idea what I was about to do next. And by the time I was done, she'd understand exactly what happens when you steal from someone who knows their worth. My name is Margaret Foster. I'm 68 years old. 2 weeks ago, my daughter-in-law pawned my jewelry without asking and said, we needed the money, like it was nothing. What she didn't know, what she never bothered to find out, is that my grandmother's ring alone was worth $50,000. The collection total? Over $200,000. And I have documentation, appraisals, photographs, everything needed to prove ownership and value. She pawned my $200,000 collection for $3,000. And then acted like she'd done me a favor. This is the story of theft, ignorance, and the consequences that come from taking what doesn't belong to you, especially when you have no idea what you've actually taken. Let me start at the beginning, so you understand exactly how we got here, and exactly what Melissa was about to learn. I've been widowed for 5 years. Robert died of a heart attack in 2019. Sudden, devastating, left me alone in our house with my memories and my jewelry box. That jewelry box held my entire life, not just pretty things, history, legacy, love, my grandmother's diamond ring, a 2.5-carat Edwardian-era solitaire from 1915. She received it when she married my grandfather, wore it through the Depression when they had nothing else, refused to sell it even when they were starving, passed it to my mother, who passed it to me, worth at least $50,000, probably more. My mother's pearl necklace, Japanese Akoya pearls, perfectly matched from 1955. My father saved for 2 years to buy them for their 10th anniversary. My mother wore them on special occasions only, kept them pristine, gave them to me before she died in 2010, worth $25,000. Robert's sapphire bracelet, Salon sapphires surrounded by diamonds. He bought it in 1999 for our 20th anniversary, had it custom made, saved 6 months. Presented it at dinner with tears in his eyes. You've given me 20 perfect years. This doesn't come close to what you deserve. I sobbed. Wore it every anniversary after. Worth $30,000 minimum. The gold locket, Victorian, 1880s, intricate engraving, photos of my children Tom and Sarah as babies inside. Robert gave it to me when Tom was born, so you can carry them always. I wore it constantly until the chain broke, then kept it in my jewelry box, safe, worth $15,000 for the antique gold alone, priceless for the photos. Other pieces, wedding rings, earrings, brooches, each with a story, each with value, both sentimental and monetary. Total collection worth over $200,000. I'd had them appraised 3 years ago, for insurance purposes, made sure they were documented, protected, safe. Never thought I'd need to prove ownership to my own family. Tom, my son, married Melissa 4 years ago. She was nice enough, a bit entitled, a bit thoughtless. But Tom loved her. That was enough for me. They'd been living with me for 6 months. Financial struggles. Tom lost his job. Melissa's hours got cut. They couldn't afford their apartment. Asked if they could stay with me temporarily. I said yes, because they're family, because I have space, because I wanted to help. First month was fine. They stayed in the guest room, kept to themselves, contributed a little to groceries. Month 2, Melissa started getting comfortable, using my things without asking. My car, my laptop, my food, small things. I let it slide. Month 3, she started treating my house like hers. Rearranging furniture, inviting friends over without checking, acting like she owned the place. Month 4, I started noticing things going missing. Small things. A decorative bowl, a throw blanket, a cookbook. When I asked, Melissa said she'd donated them because I wasn't using them. Month 5, I set boundaries. Melissa, this is my house. Please ask before changing things or taking things, even if you think I don't use them. She rolled her eyes. Fine, whatever. Month 6, she pawned my jewelry. Without asking, without permission, without any concept of what she'd actually taken. When I called Parker's pawn shop that Tuesday morning, my hands were still shaking. Parker's, how can I help you? Someone brought in jewelry recently. Several pieces. I need to know if you still have them. Are you the owner? Yes. They were taken without my permission. I want them back. I'll need to see ID and proof of ownership. Can you describe the pieces? I described everything. The ring, the necklace, the bracelet, the locket, every detail, every marking, every characteristic. Silence. Then, ma'am, those items were extraordinary. Are you saying someone stole them and pawned them? My daughter-in-law, she lives with me, took them without asking. We paid $3,000 for the lot. That's standard for... Wait, you said a 2.5-carat Edwardian diamond? Yes. Ma'am, if that's authentic, it's worth significantly more than we paid. Let me check our records. He put me on hold. 5 minutes passed. 10. Finally. Ma'am, I need you to come in. Immediately. Bring your documentation. This is complicated. I drove to Parker's, brought my appraisal documents, my photographs, my insurance papers, everything proving the jewelry was mine and what it was worth. The manager, Rick Parker himself, met me at the counter. His face was pale. Mrs. Foster, I'm so sorry. If we'd known these were stolen, we never would have accepted them. The young woman who brought them in seemed legitimate, said they were hers, that she needed quick cash. Can I get them back? Yes, but there's a problem. We paid $3,000. You'll need to reimburse us that amount to reclaim your property. That's the law. $3,000 to get back my $200,000 collection? I understand it's frustrating, but we had no way of knowing. I'll pay it. Right now, I want my jewelry back. I wrote a check. $3,000 to get back what was already mine, what should never have been taken in the first place. Rick brought out the pieces. I inspected each one. The diamond ring, intact, thank God. The pearls, perfect. The sapphire bracelet, undamaged. The locket, photos still inside, safe. Everything was there. Everything was recoverable. But the violation remained. The theft. The casual disregard for my property, my history, my life. Mrs. Foster, I'm required to report this. The woman who pawned these items committed theft. Probably felony theft given the value. I'll need to file a police report. Do it. Even if it's your daughter-in-law? Especially because it's my daughter-in-law. She needs to understand what she did. I drove home with my jewelry. All of it. Safe again. Mine again. protected again, but I wasn't done, not even close. Because Melissa had pawned my memories for $3,000, had treated my life like garage sale items, had stolen what wasn't hers and acted like she'd done me a favor. And she was about to learn what happens when you cross someone who knows exactly what they have and exactly what it's worth. If you've had family steal from you, had someone treat your treasured possessions like disposable junk, had someone violate your trust and act like it was nothing, you know this rage. Share your experience in the comments. And if these stories of theft and consequences resonate with you, please subscribe to Lindsay Stories. When I got home, Melissa was still in the kitchen, still drinking coffee, still acting like everything was normal. I set my jewelry box on the counter, opened it, showed her the contents, every piece, back where it belonged. Her face changed. Confusion, then realization, then fear. Where did you get the money? I paid $3,000 to reclaim what was already mine. What you stole from me. I didn't steal it. You took my property without permission and sold it. That's theft. Legally. Literally. Theft. Tom's your son. We're family. I thought you'd want to help. Helping is giving money when asked. Stealing is taking property without permission. You stole from me, Melissa, and now you're facing the consequences. What consequences? The pawn shop filed a police report. You'll be contacted soon. Probably arrested. Definitely charged. Felony theft. Given the value of what you took. All color drained from her face. Felony? No, you can't. I'll give you the money back. You don't have the money. You spent it on Tom's car. Remember? We'll get it somehow. Please, don't let them arrest me. That's not my choice anymore. You committed a crime. The pawn shop reported it. The police will investigate. You'll face whatever charges they decide are appropriate. But I didn't know they were worth so much. I thought they were just old jewelry. You didn't know because you didn't ask, didn't check, didn't care. You saw something that wasn't yours. Decided you wanted the money more than I wanted my property and took it. That's theft. Whether it's worth $3 or $300,000. $300,000? The appraised value of the collection is over $200,000. My grandmother's ring alone is worth $50,000. You pawned it for a few $100s because you didn't bother to find out what it was actually worth. She collapsed into a chair, started crying. Real tears this time. Not manipulation, fear. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. That's not a defense. Ignorance doesn't excuse theft. Please don't let them arrest me. I'll do anything. I'll pay you back. I'll work forever. Just please. You should have thought about consequences before you stole from me. Tom came home an hour later. I heard Melissa telling him everything, heard her crying, heard his shocked responses. Then he came to find me. Mom, Melissa told me what happened. I'm so sorry. I had no idea Did you know she pawned my jewelry? Not until today. I knew she got money for the car. Didn't know where. She said she'd borrowed it from a friend. She stole from me, Tom. Your wife stole $200,000 worth of my jewelry and pawned it for $3,000. I know, it's horrible. But Mom, she didn't understand what she was doing. She understood perfectly. She took things that weren't hers and sold them. That's theft. The fact that she's too ignorant to know their value doesn't make it less criminal. Can't we handle this privately? Without police? The pawn shop already filed the report. It's out of my hands. But you could ask them to drop it. Talk to the police. Explain she didn't understand. No. Mom, she's my wife. And I'm your mother. Who she stole from. Who she violated. Whose trust she destroyed. Why are you defending her? I'm not defending what she did. But she's facing felony charges. That'll ruin her life. She ruined her own life when she decided my jewelry was worth less than her convenience. Please, I'm begging you. Talk to the police. Ask them to drop it. We'll pay you back. However long it takes. With what money, Tom? You're unemployed. Melissa works part-time. You're living in my house rent-free. Where exactly will you get $200,000? We'll figure it out. No, this is Melissa's consequence. She made a choice. Now she lives with it. I can't believe you'd do this to family. I can't believe family would steal from me. But here we are. 2 days later, police knocked on my door. Detective James Morris, Theft Division. Mrs. Foster? I'm investigating a theft report filed by Parker's pawn shop. Regarding jewelry? Yes, come in. I showed him everything. The appraisal documents, the photographs, the insurance records, the police report from Parker's, the pieces themselves. And you're saying your daughter-in-law took these without permission? Correct. She lives here. Went into my room, took my jewelry box, pawned everything for $3,000, then told me casually that we needed the money. Did she have permission to be in your room? No, she's a guest here. She has access to common areas and the guest room. My bedroom is private. And she admitted taking the items? Yes, completely admitted it. Said she figured I never wore them anyway, so it didn't matter. Detective Morris took notes, photographed the jewelry, photographed the documentation. Mrs. Foster, this is felony grand theft. The value exceeds statutory limits by a significant margin. I'll need to bring your daughter-in-law in for questioning. Do what you need to do. Are you sure you want to press charges? This is family. Sometimes these situations, I'm absolutely sure. She stole from me. She needs to face consequences. Understood. I'll be in touch. 3 days after the police visit, Melissa was arrested. Early morning, officers came to the house, read her rights, handcuffed her, took her away. Tom was devastated. Mom, how could you? How could you let them arrest her? I didn't let them do anything. They're doing their job, prosecuting theft. She's my wife. She's a thief. Those two things can both be true. She made a mistake. A mistake is accidentally breaking a dish. Deliberately stealing $200,000 worth of jewelry is a crime. You're destroying our family. Melissa destroyed our family when she stole from me. I'm just refusing to pretend it didn't happen. Melissa was released on bail that afternoon. $5,000. Tom's parents paid it. They also called me, furious. Margaret, how could you have our daughter arrested? Your daughter stole my jewelry and pawned it. She didn't know what it was worth. That doesn't make it less stolen. You're being vindictive, cruel. She's family. She's a thief. Family doesn't excuse theft. We're hiring an attorney. We'll fight this. You'll regret pressing charges. I already regret letting her live in my house. Pressing charges? No regrets there. They hung up, probably to call their lawyer, to try to make this go away, to protect Melissa from facing what she'd done. But this wasn't going away, because I had documentation, evidence, proof of value, proof of ownership, proof of theft. Everything needed to make sure Melissa faced real consequences, and I was going to see it through, no matter who tried to stop me. 1 week after the arrest, Melissa's attorney contacted me. Mrs. Foster, I'm representing Melissa Patterson in the theft case. I'd like to discuss a resolution. I'm listening. My client deeply regrets her actions. She's willing to enter a plea agreement, plead guilty to a lesser charge, pay restitution, avoid prison time. What lesser charge? Misdemeanor theft, probation, community service, restitution of $3,000, the amount she received from the pawn shop. No, Mrs. Foster. She stole $200,000 worth of property. $3,000 is what the pawn shop paid, not what was stolen. If we're talking restitution, we're talking full appraised value. That's unreasonable. What's unreasonable is your client stealing my family heirlooms and pawning them like garage sale junk. $200,000 or we go to trial. She can't pay $200,000. That's not my problem. She should have thought about that before she stole from me. I'll discuss with my client and get back to you. 2 weeks later, another call. Mrs. Foster, we'd like to make an offer. Melissa will plead guilty to felony theft. We'll accept 5 years probation. We'll pay $50,000 in restitution over the course of the probation. In exchange, you agree to recommend no prison time. I thought about it. $50,000 was more reasonable than the full value. 5 years probation meant Melissa would have a felony record, would face real consequences, would remember this for life. I'll agree to those terms with one addition. What addition? Melissa and Tom move out of my house. Immediately. Before the plea agreement is signed. They're gone. That seems harsh. She stole from me in my own home. I'm not housing a convicted felon. They leave or no deal. I'll discuss with my client. 3 days later, Tom came to me. We'll move out. Melissa agreed to the plea deal. 5 years probation, $50,000 restitution, felony record. She'll have to pay for this for years. Good. She should. You really hate her, don't you? I don't hate her. I'm indifferent to her. She's someone who stole from me, who violated my trust, who treated my treasured possessions like disposable income. I don't hate her. I just don't care what happens to her anymore. She's my wife, your daughter-in-law. She's a convicted felon. That's what she chose to be. And you chose to marry someone who'd steal from your own mother. What does that say about you? That's not fair. Neither is theft. But here we are. They moved out 1 week later. Small apartment across town. No furniture initially. Had to buy everything secondhand. Struggled financially. But that wasn't my problem anymore. Melissa signed the plea agreement. Pleaded guilty in court. Was sentenced to 5 years probation, 300 hours community service, mandatory theft counseling, and $50,000 restitution paid at $500 per month for 8 years and 4 months. 8 years of monthly reminders, 8 years of paying for what she did, 8 years of living with a felony record, 8 years of consequences. I received my first restitution check 1 month after the sentencing, $500, made out to me, from Melissa. I deposited it, watched it clear, and felt nothing. Not satisfaction, not vindication, just cold recognition that justice, while served, didn't undo the violation. My jewelry was back. My home was mine again. Melissa was gone. Tom rarely called. But none of that changed what had happened. The theft, the betrayal, the casual disregard. 6 months after Melissa's sentencing, something unexpected happened. Tom called. "Mom, can we talk?" "About what?" "About everything. About Melissa. About what happened. About us. We met at a coffee shop. Neutral ground." Tom looked tired. Older. Worn down. "I left Melissa. I wasn't expecting that." "When?" 3 months ago. "I've been living with a friend. Didn't tell you because, I don't know, pride, shame, everything." "What happened?" "I finally saw her clearly. Saw what you'd been seeing all along. The entitlement. The casual cruelty. The way she treats other people's things like they don't matter. It wasn't just the jewelry, Mom. That was just the biggest example. There were 100 small things. Taking things. Using things. Breaking things. Never apologizing. Never taking responsibility. I was blind to it because I loved her. But after the arrest, after the plea deal, after watching her blame everyone but herself for 8 months, I couldn't unsee it anymore. I'm sorry. Are you? Or are you glad I finally figured it out? Both. I'm sorry you're hurting. I'm glad you're seeing clearly. She still calls me. Says if you'd just given her the money instead of being vindictive, none of this would have happened. She still doesn't get it. Still thinks you're the villain. Still doesn't understand that she stole from you. Some people never learn. I learned. Took me way too long, but I learned. You were right. About her. About the boundaries I should have set. About protecting you instead of defending her. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry I chose her over you. You chose your wife. That's what you're supposed to do. Not when your wife is stealing from your mother. Then you choose what's right. I didn't do that. I chose easy over right. I'm sorry. For the first time in a year, I felt something toward Tom besides disappointment. Hope. That maybe he'd grown. Maybe he'd learned. Maybe this nightmare had taught him something valuable. I forgive you. We can move forward. Can I move back in? Just for a little while. Until I get back on my feet. I have a job now. Good job. I can pay rent. Contribute properly. Do it right this time. I thought about it. About trust broken and possibly rebuilt. About second chances and hard lessons learned. You can move back in, but we sign a lease. You pay rent. Market rate. You're a tenant, not my son living at home. We keep it business. If that relationship rebuilds over time, great. But we start with clear boundaries. Can you handle that? Yes, absolutely. Whatever you need. Tom moved back in 2 weeks later. Paid first month's rent up front. Kept to his space. Respected my boundaries. Slowly, carefully, rebuilt trust. 1 year after the theft, Melissa called me. I almost didn't answer. But curiosity won. "Margaret, I need to talk to you." "I'm listening. I'm calling to apologize. Really apologize. Not because my lawyer told me to. Not because I want something. But because I finally understand what I did. What changed? My grandmother died. Last month. She left me her wedding ring. It's not worth much, maybe a few $100s, but it's hers. It's all I have left of her. And yesterday, my roommate asked if she could borrow it, just to wear to a party, and I felt panic, this rage, this absolute refusal. How dare she ask to touch my grandmother's ring? It's mine. It's precious. It's irreplaceable. She paused. I waited. And then I realized, that's what I did to you, except worse. I didn't ask. I didn't borrow. I took and sold and treated your grandmother's ring, your mother's pearls, your husband's gift, like they were nothing, like they were just things to convert to cash. And I finally get it. I finally understand what I stole. Not just jewelry, your history, your family, your memories, everything those pieces represented. And I'm so sorry. What do you want me to say, Melissa? Nothing. I don't want anything. I just needed you to know that I understand now, that I finally get what I did, that I'm sorry. That's all? Thank you for calling. Will you ever forgive me? I don't know. Maybe. Someday. But not today. The wound is still too fresh. I understand. I just wanted you to know. I'm sorry. Truly sorry. She hung up, and I sat there thinking about her grandmother's ring, about how sometimes people only learn through experience, through feeling what they made others feel, through loss teaching what empathy couldn't. 2 years after the theft, I received Melissa's final restitution check, number 100, the last payment. $50,000 paid over 8 years at $500 per month. The debt was satisfied. Legally, at least. I deposited the check, closed that chapter, and realized I didn't hate Melissa anymore. Didn't even feel anger. Just sadness that it took theft and felony conviction and 8 years of consequences for her to learn what should have been obvious from the start. 3 years after the theft, present day, I still have all my jewelry. The diamond ring, the pearls, the bracelet, the locket, everything, safe in my jewelry box, where they belong. Tom still lives with me, pays rent, respects boundaries. We've rebuilt our relationship. It's different now. Not mother and child, more like landlord and tenant who happen to be related and slowly becoming family again. He's dating someone new, Sarah. She's kind, respectful. Asked to see my jewelry once, not to wear, just to hear the stories. I showed her, told her about each piece. She listened, really listened, and said, "These are beautiful. Thank you for sharing them with me." That's the difference. Between someone who sees things and someone who sees value. Between someone who wants to take and someone who wants to understand. Between Melissa and Sarah. I don't know if Tom will marry Sarah. Don't know if she'll become my daughter-in-law officially. But if she does, I'll know she understands. That some things are priceless. That family heirlooms aren't currency. That asking matters. That respecting boundaries matters. That understanding the difference between borrowing and stealing matters. My name is Margaret Foster. I'm 71 now. 3 years ago, my daughter-in-law pawned my $200,000 jewelry collection for $3,000 and said, "We needed the money." She's now a convicted felon with a record that will follow her forever. She paid $50,000 in restitution over 8 years. She lost her marriage, her home, her family, all because she couldn't resist stealing what wasn't hers. I got my jewelry back. Every piece. Safe now. Protected now. Locked away where no one can take them again. And I learned that sometimes the most valuable thing you own isn't jewelry or money or property. It's boundaries. The willingness to enforce them. The strength to demand respect. The courage to face family who violate you and say, "No more." Melissa pawned my jewelry and said we needed the money. She had no idea what I'd do next. Had no idea I'd press charges. Had no idea I'd see it through to felony conviction. Had no idea those old pieces were worth $200,000. She found out, the hard way, and she'll remember it for the rest of her life. Share this if you've had family steal from you and faced the difficult choice of pressing charges. Comment if you've enforced boundaries that others called cruel, but you knew were necessary. Subscribe to Lindsay Stories for more stories of theft, justice, and the price of violating trust. She pawned my memories. I made her pay. And 3 years later, my jewelry is safe and she's still living with the consequences. That's everything. What I haven't fully explained yet is what happened in the days between discovering the theft and pressing charges. The manipulation attempts, the family pressure, the way Melissa tried every tactic to avoid consequences. Day 1, the day I got my jewelry back from Parker's pawn, I came home and locked everything in my bedroom. Not in the jewelry box on my dresser. In my safe. The safe Melissa didn't know existed. Behind a painting in my closet. Combination only I knew. She noticed immediately. "Where's your jewelry box?" "Somewhere safe. I told you. We'll buy you new stuff when we can afford it. You don't need to be dramatic about it." "Melissa, you stole from me. Of course I'm being dramatic. You took $200,000 worth of my family's history and pawned it for $3,000. That's not a mistake. That's theft. $200,000? You're exaggerating. That stuff wasn't worth that much." I pulled out the appraisal documents, showed her line by line. Grandmother's ring, $50,000. Mother's pearls, $25,000. Sapphire bracelet, $30,000. Gold locket, $15,000. Other pieces, $80,000. Total, $200,000 minimum. Her face went white. Actually white. "That can't be right. The pawn shop only gave me $3,000. Because you didn't know what you had. Because you didn't ask. Because you treated priceless heirlooms like costume jewelry. The pawn shop took advantage of your ignorance. But that doesn't change what you stole. I didn't steal. I'm family. I was borrowing. Borrowing requires permission. You took without asking. That's stealing. And Melissa? I paid $3,000 to get back what was already mine. You owe me that money, plus the felony charge that's coming." "Felony? No! You can't." "I already did. Parker's filed a police report. Detective will be contacting you. I'd get a lawyer if I were you." She ran to find Tom. I heard them arguing, heard her crying, heard him trying to calm her down, heard her blaming me. "Your mother is trying to destroy me over some old jewelry. She's being vindictive." Tom came to talk to me that evening. "Mom, Melissa's hysterical. Can't we work this out privately?" "No. But she's terrified of going to jail, of having a criminal record. This will ruin her life. She ruined her own life when she stole from me. I'm just making sure she faces the consequences. She didn't know they were worth so much. So theft is okay if you're too ignorant to know the value? That's your defense? That's not what I meant. I just mean she made a mistake. She didn't mean to—" "Tom, stop. She absolutely meant to take my jewelry and pawn it. She did it deliberately. The only mistake was not knowing the value. That doesn't make it less criminal. It just makes her stupid and a thief. How can you be so cold? How can you defend someone who stole from your mother?" He left without answering, went back to Melissa, chose her side. Again, day 2, Melissa tried a different approach. Sweetness. "Margaret, I'm so sorry. I didn't understand what those pieces meant to you. If I'd known, I never would have—" "You would have. You absolutely would have. Because you didn't ask. Didn't care. Just took what you wanted. The value doesn't matter. The theft is the same whether it's worth $3 or $3 million. Please don't press charges. I'll do anything. I'll work to pay you back. I'll leave. Whatever you want. Just please don't let them arrest me. It's already done. The pawn shop filed the report. Police are investigating. This isn't my choice anymore. It's the legal system. But you could ask them to drop it. Tell them it was a misunderstanding. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was theft. And I'm not lying to protect you from your own choices." Day 3, Melissa's mother called. Linda. We'd met twice, didn't know each other well. But apparently Melissa had called her crying, and Linda was ready to defend her daughter. "Margaret, this is Linda Patterson, Melissa's mother. I understand there's been some kind of incident? Your daughter stole my jewelry and pawned it. She said she borrowed it, without asking, without permission, while I was out of the house. She went into my private bedroom, took my jewelry box, and pawned every piece. That's not borrowing. That's stealing. She needed money for her husband's car repair. Then she should have asked me, or gotten a loan, or sold her own possessions. She had options. She chose theft. You're being very harsh. She's family. Family doesn't steal from family. But here we are. I'm asking you, woman to woman, mother to mother, please don't press charges. Melissa's made a mistake. She's learned her lesson. Don't ruin her life over this. Her life is being ruined by her own choices, not by my response to those choices. I'm hiring her an attorney. We're going to fight this. You won't win. I already won. I have my jewelry back. I have documentation proving value and ownership. I have the pawn shop statement. I have Melissa's admission. There's nothing to fight. She's guilty. The only question is how much she pays. Linda hung up, probably furious. Probably calling her lawyer. Probably preparing for war. I didn't care. I had truth on my side. Evidence. Justice. Day 4, Tom's father called. Andrew, my ex-husband. We'd divorced 15 years ago. Stayed cordial. Co-parented Tom through his teenage years. But we weren't close. His call surprised me. Margaret, Tom called me. Said you're pressing charges against Melissa? She stole my jewelry. $200,000 worth. Pawned it for $3,000. Jesus. $200,000? My grandmother's ring. My mother's pearls. Robert's sapphire bracelet. The locket with Tom and Sarah's baby photos. Everything. Silence. Then, you have to press charges. I wasn't expecting that. What? You have to. If you don't, Melissa learns nothing. Tom learns nothing. They keep thinking they can take advantage of people and face no consequences. You have to follow through. Tom is furious with me. Tom is an idiot. He married someone who'd steal from his own mother. That's on him. You do what's right. Press charges. Make her pay. Teach both of them a lesson they'll never forget. Thank you for saying that. I mean it. And Margaret? I'm sorry. Sorry she did this to you. Sorry Tom isn't supporting you. Sorry you have to deal with this. If you need anything, money for lawyers, someone to testify, whatever, I'm here. I hung up feeling validated. Andrew understood. Even if Tom didn't. Even if Melissa's family didn't. Someone saw the situation clearly. Day 5, the detective arrived. James Morris, mid-50s, professional, thorough. He spent 3 hours going through everything. Documents, photos, appraisals, timeline, Melissa's admission, my statement. Mrs. Foster, this is one of the clearest theft cases I've seen. Your daughter-in-law took items worth over $200,000, pawned them without permission, admitted doing so. There's no question this is felony grand theft. What happens next? I'll interview her, get her statement, then present the case to the DA. They'll decide whether to charge. Given the value and the evidence, I expect they will. Probably charge her with felony grand theft. She'll be arrested. Arraigned. Then it goes through the court system. How long? Months. Maybe a year. Depends on whether she pleads guilty or goes to trial. And if she's convicted, felony grand theft can carry prison time. Could be a few years. Or she might get probation if she has no record and shows remorse. That's up to the judge. I want her to have a record. Want her to understand that stealing has permanent consequences. I understand. I'll do everything I can to build a strong case. Day 6, Melissa was interviewed by Detective Morris. I wasn't there, but Tom told me about it later. She cried, admitted taking the jewelry, claimed she didn't know the value, said she was desperate, needed money for the car, thought I wouldn't mind because I never wore the pieces anyway. Every word made it worse for her. Admissions, rationalizations, no acceptance of responsibility, just excuses and blame. Detective Morris told her she'd likely be charged with felony theft, told her to get an attorney, told her not to contact me. She ignored the last part. Day 7, Melissa tried one more time, came to my room, knocked. Margaret, please. Can we talk? We have nothing to talk about. Please. Just 5 minutes. I'm begging you. Against my better judgment, I opened the door. She looked terrible. Hadn't slept, hadn't eaten, eyes red from crying. Margaret, I made a horrible mistake. I see that now. I'm so sorry. Please drop the charges. I can't go to jail. I can't have a criminal record. It'll destroy my whole life. You should have thought about that before you stole from me. I didn't think. That's the problem. I just saw something valuable sitting there unused and thought we could convert it to money we desperately needed. I didn't think about what it meant to you, about the history, about the violation. I just acted. Stupidly. I'm so sorry. Sorry isn't enough. What do you want? Tell me what I can do to make this right. I'll do anything. You can't make it right. The violation happened. The theft happened. Nothing you do now changes that. You crossed a line that can't be uncrossed. So you're just going to let them arrest me? Let me go to prison? Destroy my future? You destroyed your own future. I'm just refusing to pretend you didn't. You're heartless. I'm boundaried. There's a difference. She left, slammed the door. I heard her crying in her room for hours. Tom tried to comfort her, but what comfort could he offer? She'd stolen, been caught, faced consequences. That was reality. Day 8, Melissa was arrested. Early morning, knock on the door. 2 uniformed officers. "We have a warrant for Melissa Patterson," Tom answered. "For what?" "Felony grand theft. Is she here?" "This is a mistake. Is she here?" "Yes, but—" "Get her, please." Melissa came down in pajamas, still half asleep, saw the officers, started panicking. No. This can't be happening. Melissa Patterson, you're under arrest for felony grand theft. You have the right to remain silent. They read her rights, handcuffed her, took her away in a patrol car while neighbors watched. Tom was beside himself, crying, yelling at me. "This is your fault. You did this. You're destroying us." "She did this. By stealing. Every consequence is hers. I'll never forgive you for this." "That's your choice. Just like theft was Melissa's choice. We all make choices. We all face consequences." He left, followed the patrol car to the station, stayed there while Melissa was booked, processed, put in a cell until bail could be arranged. I stayed home, made coffee, sat in my kitchen, and felt nothing. No satisfaction, no vindication. Just cold recognition that justice, while necessary, doesn't heal violation. Day 9, Tom's parents, Linda and her husband Rick, paid Melissa's bail, $5,000, got her released, brought her back to my house because she had nowhere else to go. I met them at the door. "She's not staying here. This is her home." Linda was indignant. "This is my house, where she committed felony theft. She's not welcome here anymore. Where is she supposed to go? That's not my problem, but she's not staying in the house she stole from." Tom came to the door. "Mom, please. She has nowhere to go. She can stay with her parents, or get a motel, or sleep in the car, but she's not staying here. I live here too. This is my home, and you can stay. She cannot. Those are my terms. Take them or both of you leave." Tom looked at Melissa, at me, at his parents, torn. Finally, "We'll figure something out." They left. All of them, Tom included, took clothes, toiletries, left. I locked the door behind them. First time in 6 months I'd been alone in my house. It felt good, quiet, peaceful, mine again. Day 10, Tom called. "We're staying with Melissa's parents. Temporarily. Until we figure out housing." "Good. That's all you have to say?" "Good. What do you want me to say, Tom? I'm sorry Melissa stole from me? I'm sorry she's facing consequences? I'm not sorry. She made her choices. Now she lives with them. She's my wife. I have to support her." "Then support her. At her parents' house, not mine. When can I come get the rest of my stuff?" "Anytime I'm home. Just call first." He hung up. 3 days later, he came with a truck. Loaded everything. Furniture from the guest room, boxes, clothing. Everything. Moved out completely. My house felt bigger, emptier, but better. No more Melissa, no more tension, no more theft risk, just me. In my house, with my jewelry safe. Week 2, Melissa's attorney called with the first plea offer. Misdemeanor theft, probation, restitution of $3,000. I rejected it immediately. Felony charge or we go to trial. $200,000 in restitution or we go to trial. Those are my terms. Week 3, second offer. Felony theft. 5 years probation. $25,000 restitution. I rejected it. $50,000 or trial. Week 4, third offer. Felony theft. 5 years probation. $50,000 restitution. 300 hours community service. Mandatory theft counseling. I accepted. Because $50,000 was substantial. Because 5 years probation was long enough to matter. Because felony record was permanent. Because it was consequences. Real, lasting, meaningful consequences. The plea hearing happened week 6. Melissa stood before a judge, pleaded guilty to felony grand theft, was sentenced to everything we'd agreed to: 5 years probation, 300 hours community service, theft counseling, 50,000 restitution at 500 monthly. The judge asked if she understood the terms. She said yes. He asked if she had anything to say. She said, "I'm sorry. I made a terrible mistake. I'll spend the rest of my life making amends." The judge accepted her plea, made it official. Melissa Patterson, convicted felon. She'd stolen my jewelry and said we needed the money. Now she'd pay $500 a month for 8 years, would have a criminal record forever, would lose job opportunities, housing opportunities, voting rights in some states, everything that comes with felony conviction, all because she couldn't resist taking what wasn't hers. Month 2 after the plea deal, I received the first restitution check, $500, made out from Melissa Patterson. Memo line, restitution payment. I stared at it. This thin piece of paper representing so much: her theft, my violation, the legal system's attempt at justice. 8 years of monthly reminders. I deposited it, not because I needed the money. I didn't. But because Melissa needed to pay, needed to face what she'd done, needed to remember every single month for 8 years that stealing has consequences. Month 3, Tom called. "Mom, can we talk?" About everything. "I miss you. I miss our relationship. Can we try to fix this?" "Where's Melissa?" "At work. This is just me. I need to talk to my mom." We met at a diner. Tom looked exhausted, older. "Living with Melissa's parents is hell. They blame me for not stopping you from pressing charges. Melissa's depressed, working 2 jobs to make the restitution payments, barely making ends meet. And I'm stuck in the middle feeling like I failed everyone." "You didn't fail anyone. You chose your wife. That's what you're supposed to do." "But she was wrong. You were right. I see that now. I should have supported you from the start. Should have been furious at her for stealing from you. Instead, I defended her. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm really sorry. Thank you for saying that. Can you forgive me? Can we move forward?" "Yes. But things are different now. I'm not opening my home to Melissa again. Ever. If you want a relationship with me, it's separate from her. Can you handle that?" "I don't know. She's my wife. I can't just cut her out of my life." "I'm not asking you to. I'm saying she's not welcome in mine. You choose how to navigate that. But those are the boundaries." "That's really hard, Mom. Stealing is hard too. But she chose it anyway. We all make hard choices. This is mine." Month 6. Something unexpected happened. Melissa asked to meet me, through Tom. She wants to talk to you, face to face. Apologize properly. I almost said no. What could she say that would matter? But curiosity won. Fine. Coffee shop, public place, 1 hour. Melissa arrived looking different, thinner, tired, defeated, sat across from me with a coffee she probably couldn't afford. "Thank you for meeting me. You have an hour. Talk. I've been going to the court-mandated theft counseling, learning about why I did what I did, about entitlement, about how I view other people's property, about how I minimize things that matter to others if they don't matter to me. It's been revelatory and painful. Good. Pain means growth. I took your jewelry because I saw objects I could convert to cash. I didn't see your grandmother's love, your mother's wedding joy, Robert's devotion, your children's infancy. I saw dollar signs, not memories, not history, not irreplaceable pieces of your life, just potential money. That's sociopathic? That's broken? I'm broken. Yes, you are. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I wanted you to know that I'm working on being less broken, that I understand now what I took wasn't jewelry. It was pieces of your heart. And I'm so sorry. What do you want from me, Melissa? Nothing. I just needed you to hear that I get it now, that I'm not the same person who stole from you, that I'm trying to be better. You're not better until the work is done, until you've paid every dollar of restitution, until you've completed every hour of community service, until you've proven through sustained action that you've changed. Words mean nothing. Only actions matter. I understand. Good. Then prove it. Pay your restitution. Do your service. Become a person worthy of trust. And maybe, in a decade, I'll believe you've changed. She left. I watched her go, wondered if she'd actually change or if this was just performance. Time would tell. Month 12, I received restitution check number 12. $6,000 total paid. $44,000 to go. 7 years remaining. Melissa still had so far to go. Tom had moved back in with me, paying rent, keeping distance from Melissa while they figured things out. I suspected divorce was coming. Tom was realizing what I'd seen all along, that Melissa was fundamentally broken, that theft wasn't an aberration, it was a symptom. Year 2, Melissa sent a card on Mother's Day. Not to me, to her own mother, but Linda showed it to Tom, who told me about it. The card said, "Thank you for teaching me right from wrong. I'm sorry it took Margaret's consequences to make the lessons stick. I'm working on being the daughter you raised me to be. Even an apology, subtle blame. Margaret's consequences. Not my theft. Not my choices. My consequences. Like I'd done something to her rather than her doing something to me. She still didn't fully get it. Might never fully get it. But at least she was paying. At least consequences were real. Year 3, Tom filed for divorce. Couldn't reconcile Melissa's theft with the person he thought he'd married. Couldn't trust her. Couldn't see a future. Just ended it. Melissa didn't fight it. Signed the papers. Moved on. Still paying restitution. Still serving probation. Still living with her criminal record. Tom started dating Sarah 6 months after the divorce finalized. She was different. Respectful. Careful. Asked permission before touching things. Understood boundaries. Everything Melissa wasn't. Present day, 3 years after the theft. I have my jewelry. Tom has Sarah. Melissa has her consequences. Everything found its place. My grandmother's ring sits in my safe. My mother's pearls rest beside it. Robert's sapphire bracelet sparkles in the dim light. The locket with my baby's photos stays protected. All of it safe. All of it mine. All of it where it belongs. Melissa has 5 more years of restitution payments. 5 more checks. $30,000 left to pay. 5 more years of monthly reminders that stealing has permanent consequences. She pawned my jewelry and said, "We needed the money." She had no idea what those pieces were worth. No idea what I'd do. No idea that casual theft would cost her everything. Now she knows. And she'll pay, literally and figuratively, for the rest of her life. That's everything. What I want to talk about now, what needs to be understood about theft within families, is how it destroys more than just property. It destroys trust, safety, the fundamental belief that your home is your sanctuary. Before Melissa stole from me, I left my jewelry box on my dresser, visible, accessible, never locked, because it was my home, my bedroom, my private space. I shouldn't have to lock things away in my own house. After Melissa, everything changed. The jewelry went in a safe. My bedroom door started getting locked. Important documents went to a safety deposit box. I started hiding valuables I'd displayed for decades. Not because they'd be stolen again. Melissa was gone. But because the security was shattered. The trust violated. The safety compromised. That's what theft does. Even after you recover the physical items. Even after legal consequences are served. The psychological damage remains. The hypervigilance. The inability to relax in your own space. The constant awareness that someone you trusted walked into your private room and took what you treasured most. 3 months after getting my jewelry back, I woke up panicking. 3 a.m., heart racing, convinced someone was in my house, convinced someone was in my room, convinced they were taking things again. I checked the safe, everything there. Checked the windows, locked. Checked the doors, locked. No one in the house but me, just paranoia, just trauma. Just the lingering effect of violation. It took a year for those panic attacks to stop. A year of sleeping lightly, jumping at sounds, checking the safe multiple times a day. A year of living in fear in my own home because Melissa had taught me that even family, especially family, can't be trusted. That's the hidden cost of theft. The thing no restitution payment covers. The damage that no prison sentence repairs. The wound that time barely heals. 6 months after the theft, I went to therapy, not because I thought I needed it, but because my doctor suggested it. "Margaret, you're showing signs of PTSD, hypervigilance, difficulty sleeping, intrusive thoughts. That's trauma. You should talk to someone. The therapist was helpful. Explained that what I experienced was violation trauma. That having someone enter your private space and take your precious belongings triggers the same response as other violations. That my body was protecting me by staying alert. That healing would take time. How much time? That depends. On you. On your capacity to rebuild safety. On whether you can reclaim your home as your sanctuary again. Some people heal in months. Some take years. There's no timeline. What if I can't reclaim it? What if I never feel safe again? Then you adapt. You create new safety. Maybe you move. Maybe you restructure your space. Maybe you accept that safety looks different now, but you don't stay frozen in fear. That's just another kind of theft. Stealing your own peace. I worked through it. Slowly. Deliberately. Reclaiming my space. Reclaiming my peace. Learning to trust my locks. My safe. My boundaries. Learning that safety isn't about preventing all violation. That's impossible. Safety is about knowing you can survive violation and rebuild. Melissa took my jewelry, but she also took my peace, my trust, my sense of safety. Those things couldn't be recovered from a pawn shop, had to be recovered from within myself. That work was harder than any legal battle. 1 year after the theft, Sarah, Tom's girlfriend, asked if she could see my jewelry. Not to wear, not to borrow, just to see. To hear the stories. I hesitated. Even though Sarah had never given me reason to distrust her, even though she'd been nothing but respectful, the fear lingered. What if she was like Melissa? What if seeing the pieces made her want them? What if I showed her and regretted it? But I also knew I couldn't live in fear forever. Couldn't let Melissa's theft poison every relationship. Couldn't assume every woman Tom dated was a potential thief. So I showed Sarah. Opened the safe, took out each piece, told her the stories. My grandmother's ring, my mother's pearls, Robert's bracelet, the locket with my baby's photos. Sarah listened, really listened, asked questions. What was your grandmother like? How did your parents meet? What was Robert's reaction when you opened the bracelet? How old were Tom and Sarah in these photos? She saw the pieces as I saw them, not as valuable objects, as tangible connections to people and moments and love. She understood, really understood. When I finished, she said, "Thank you for sharing these with me. I know that took courage. After what happened, after Melissa, I'm honored you trusted me with these stories." Tom told you about Melissa? Everything. The theft, the arrest, the restitution, the divorce. He wanted me to understand why boundaries matter in your family, why asking permission matters, why respecting your property matters. He didn't want me to accidentally cross lines I didn't know existed. And what do you think about all of it? I think you did exactly what you should have done. I think Melissa deserved every consequence. And I think Tom's lucky his mother loved him enough to teach that lesson even when it cost her their relationship temporarily. That's when I knew. Sarah was different. She got it. Not just intellectually, but deep in her bones. She understood that things have meaning beyond monetary value, that theft is violation, that family doesn't excuse crime, that boundaries are love. Tom married Sarah 2 years after the theft. Small ceremony, close family only. I wore my grandmother's ring, my mother's pearls, Robert's bracelet. The first time I'd worn them in public since getting them back from the pawn shop. Melissa wasn't invited, obviously, wasn't mentioned. Her absence was presence enough, reminder of what happens when you violate trust. During the reception, Sarah approached me. "Margaret, I've been thinking about those jewelry pieces, the ones you showed me. Have you considered what happens to them when you die? They'll go to Tom. That's in my will. What if—" She paused. Careful. What if you created something like a family trust? Not for the monetary value, but for the stories. So future generations know where these pieces came from, who wore them, what they meant. So the history doesn't die with you. What do you mean? I mean writing down everything. About your grandmother and the depression, your mother and the pearls, Robert and the bracelet, your babies and the locket, creating a document that stays with the jewelry. So when Tom's children, our children, inherit these pieces someday, they'll know. They'll understand. They'll cherish them the way you do. I'd never thought of that. Of preserving the stories, of making sure the meaning survived me. That's beautiful. Yes, let's do that. We spent 3 months working on it. Sarah interviewed me, recorded my stories, transcribed everything, created a beautiful bound book with photographs of each piece and the full history behind it. The Foster Family Jewelry Collection, Stories of Love, Legacy, and Survival. 1 copy stayed with the jewelry in my safe. 1 copy went to Tom and Sarah. 1 copy went to my daughter Sarah, Tom's sister, who'd been living across the country through most of this drama, but deserved to know the family stories. It became more than just jewelry. It became documented legacy, protected history, theft-proof in a new way. Because even if someone stole the physical pieces again, the stories would survive. The meaning would persist. The legacy would endure. That was Sarah's gift to me. Not just daughter-in-law respect, but genuine understanding that some things matter beyond what they're worth. That preservation isn't just about locks and safes. It's about memory, story, truth passed down. Melissa could never have understood that, never have valued it, never have contributed to it. She saw objects. Sarah saw family. That's the difference between a thief and a daughter. 2 years after the theft, I got a letter from Melissa. Handwritten, delivered through Tom. He brought it to me hesitantly. She asked me to give you this. You don't have to read it. I can throw it away if you want. I'll read it. I opened it alone, in my room, with my jewelry safe, visible, locked, secure, protected. Read Melissa's words with the physical evidence of her crime nearby. Dear Margaret, I'm writing this letter not because my probation officer suggested it, though she did. Not because Tom asked me to, though he'd like me to, but because I need to say things I didn't know how to say before. I stole from you, not borrowed, not made a mistake with, stole. I entered your private space, took items that didn't belong to me, converted them to cash for my benefit. That's theft. Clear, unambiguous, criminal. I've paid about $20,000 in restitution so far. 40 checks at $500 each. 40 months of working overtime. 40 paychecks with $500 missing. 40 reminders of what I did. And you know what I've realized? The money isn't the punishment. The missing $500 every month is inconvenient, annoying, but manageable. The punishment is the knowing. 40 times I've written that check. I've had to face what I stole. Not $3,000, what the pawn shop gave me, but memories, history, love made tangible. Your grandmother's survival, your mother's wedding, Robert's devotion, your children's infancy. That's what I stole. That's what 40 checks can't repay. I have 5 years of probation left, 30 more payments, 30 more chances to face what I did. And I've realized, even when the restitution is paid, even when probation ends, even when my record technically becomes part of my past, I'll never be free of this. Because I'll always be the woman who stole her mother-in-law's jewelry. I'll always be the person who saw priceless heirlooms and thought cash. I'll always carry the knowledge that I'm capable of that kind of violation. I'm in counseling, working on it, learning about entitlement, respect, boundaries, empathy. All the things I should have learned as a child but somehow missed. Better late than never, I guess. Though it's pretty late. I don't expect forgiveness. Don't deserve it. But I wanted you to know. I understand now. Not just intellectually. In my bones. What I took. What I destroyed. What I can never repay. I'm sorry. Deeply, truly, permanently sorry. Melissa. I read the letter 3 times. Looking for manipulation. Looking for excuses. Looking for blame deflection, but it seemed genuine as Melissa could be. Did it change anything? Did it heal the violation? Did it restore trust? No. Words don't undo theft. Apologies don't repair trauma. Understanding doesn't return what's lost. But it was something. Acknowledgement, ownership, growth, small things. But more than she'd shown before. I put the letter in a folder, with the police reports, the plea agreement, the restitution schedule, the complete documentation of what Melissa did and what it cost her. Not because I was holding on to anger, but because history matters. Truth matters. Evidence matters. Someday my grandchildren might ask about Melissa, about why she's not in family photos, about why Tom's first marriage ended, about why Grandma Margaret is so protective of her jewelry, and I'll show them this folder. Let them read the truth. Let them understand that theft has consequences, that family isn't sacred immunity, that protecting yourself is always right even when others call it cruel. That's legacy too, not just jewelry and stories, but lessons, boundaries, the willingness to enforce them, the courage to face family who violate you and say, no more. 3 years after the theft. Present day, January 2026. I'm 71 years old. My jewelry is in my safe. My home is mine again. Tom and Sarah live nearby with my grandson, born last year, named Robert after my late husband. They visit weekly. Respect my boundaries. Ask before touching. Honor my space. Melissa lives across town, still paying restitution, still on probation, still working 2 jobs to make the payments, still carrying a felony record, still divorced, still learning what it means to face consequences for 8 years and counting. Does she hate me? Probably sometimes. Does she blame me? Probably often. Does she wish I'd just forgiven her and moved on? Definitely. But she also understands now what she took, what it meant, what she destroyed beyond just property. That understanding didn't come from my words, came from consequences, from 40 checks written, from 40 reminders, from living with what she did. That's the real justice. Not the felony charge, not the probation, not even the money, the knowing, the permanent awareness that she's capable of violation, that she did violate, that she can't undo it no matter how many checks she writes or apologies she makes or years she spends in counseling. She pawned my jewelry and said, "We needed the money." 3 words that changed everything, that cost her everything, that taught her what some people never learn. Other people's property isn't yours to take. Other people's memories aren't yours to convert. Other people's boundaries aren't yours to cross. My name is Margaret Foster. I'm 71 years old. 3 years ago, my daughter-in-law pawned my $200,000 jewelry collection for $3,000 and treated it like a favor. She's a convicted felon now, paying restitution for 5 more years, living with consequences for the rest of her life. And I have my jewelry back. Every piece, safe, protected, mine. Was it worth it? Worth pressing charges? Worth the family conflict? Worth the 8 years of monthly checks? Worth permanent estrangement from my former daughter-in-law? Yes. Absolutely yes. Because some lines can't be crossed without consequences. Some violations can't be forgiven without justice. Some thefts can't be ignored just because the thief is family. She thought I'd never know the value of what she took. Never press charges. Never follow through. Never make it real. She was wrong. And now she knows. And maybe her knowing prevents someone else from stealing. Maybe her consequences teach someone else about boundaries. Maybe her 30 more restitution checks remind someone else that theft always costs more than you think. That's the hope. That her loss becomes someone else's lesson. That my boundaries become someone else's example. That this violation becomes a warning. Don't steal from people who know their worth. Don't cross people who'll enforce their boundaries. Don't take what isn't yours and expect no consequences. Melissa learned that lesson. Painfully, permanently, publicly. And my jewelry sits safe. My grandmother's ring, my mother's pearls, Robert's bracelet, my baby's locket, all of it exactly where it belongs. Protected, honored, remembered. That's everything. There's one final thing I need to say. Something about the question everyone asks when they hear this story. Wasn't it harsh to press felony charges against family? The answer is no. And here's why. Family doesn't mean immunity from consequences. Family doesn't mean your property becomes community property. Family doesn't mean theft is forgiven because of DNA or marriage certificates. Family means higher expectations, not lower standards. When Melissa stole from me, she didn't just violate property law. She violated family trust. She violated the sanctuary of my home. She violated the assumption that the people living under your roof won't rob you blind. That's worse than stranger theft. Not better. Worse. A stranger stealing my jewelry would be criminal, but a stranger doesn't have access to my bedroom. doesn't know where I keep my valuables, doesn't live in my house rent-free while plotting to convert my memories to cash. Melissa had all those advantages, had all that access, had all that trust, and used it to steal. That's not less serious because we're family. It's more serious. Because she betrayed more than just property rights. She betrayed relationship, safety, home. So no, pressing charges wasn't harsh. It was appropriate. It was proportional. It was exactly what should happen when someone steals $200,000, regardless of their relationship to the victim. People who say, "But she's family," are really saying, family should be allowed to victimize you without consequences. That's not love. That's enabling. That's dysfunction. That's how families stay broken for generations. Because no one ever enforces boundaries. No one ever says this far and no further. Everyone just accepts violation as normal. I refuse to accept it. I refuse to teach my grandchildren that family members can steal from you and face no consequences. I refuse to model that boundaries don't matter when someone shares your blood or marries your son. I taught a different lesson. Protect yourself. Enforce boundaries. Require respect. Especially from family, because family is where you're supposed to be safest. When that safety is violated, the consequences should be swift and severe. That's what I did. That's what I'd do again. That's what anyone reading this should do if family ever violates them. Don't be nice. Don't be understanding. Don't be forgiving. Not immediately. Not without consequences. Not without justice. Be boundaried. Be fierce. Be unmovable. Protect yourself. Protect your property. Protect your peace. Make them face what they did. Make them pay. Make them remember. That's not cruelty. That's self-respect. That's dignity. That's refusing to be a victim in your own life. Melissa pawned my jewelry and said, "We needed the money." She thought I'd be understanding. Thought I'd absorb the loss. Thought family meant she could take without consequences. She was wrong. And she'll spend the rest of her life knowing exactly how wrong she was. My jewelry is safe. My boundaries are enforced. My dignity is intact. And my grandchildren will grow up knowing Grandma Margaret doesn't play about her property, or her boundaries, or her respect. That's the legacy I'm leaving. Not just jewelry, not just stories, but backbone, boundaries, the willingness to protect yourself even when others call it harsh. Share this if you've had family steal from you and face the hard choice of prosecution. Comment if you've enforced boundaries that others called cruel but you knew were necessary. Subscribe to Lindsay Stories for more stories of theft, boundaries, and refusing to be victimized by family. She pawned my jewelry. I pressed charges. She paid for 8 years. And I'd do it again without hesitation. That's everything. Today, when I open my safe, I see more than jewelry. I see strength. I see boundaries enforced. I see dignity protected. I see a woman who refused to be victimized even when the thief was family. My grandmother's ring sparkles with more than diamonds. It sparkles with the lesson that some things are worth fighting for, worth prosecuting for, worth 8 years of monthly checks for. My mother's pearls glow with more than luster. They glow with the knowledge that beauty survives violation, that what's precious can be recovered, that theft doesn't win. Robert's bracelet shines with more than sapphires. It shines with love that endures, with memory that persists, with proof that what we cherish matters. And the locket with my baby's photos? It holds more than their infant faces. It holds the truth that some things are irreplaceable, that monetary value doesn't capture actual worth, that Melissa pawned my heart and called it $3,000. She was wrong. About everything. About the value. About my response. About getting away with it. About family being immunity. About needing money, justifying theft. Wrong. And she'll know she was wrong every month for 3 more years when she writes that check. Every time she applies for a job and has to check convicted felon. Every time she meets someone new and has to explain her record. Every time she looks at expensive jewelry and remembers what happened when she stole some. That's justice. Not revenge. Justice. Proportional. Appropriate. Necessary. My name is Margaret Foster. My daughter-in-law pawned my jewelry. I made her regret it. And I sleep soundly every night knowing I protected myself, my property, and my peace. She thought I wouldn't fight back. She was wrong, and now everyone knows. Don't steal from Margaret Foster. She presses charges. That's everything.